My name is Fritz Haeg. I'm an artist from California who deals with ecology and community in my work. I've been here on the Amalfi Coast for 3 weeks now and just leaving tomorrow. And in this time here, I've been having a very rare break from daily chores at Salmon Creek Farm, where I usually live, which is 3 hours north of San Francisco. And I've just had this rare opportunity in Casa L'Orto to just step back from that kind of daily life. And this place has been in my head for a long time because Carol LeWitt invited me here for the first time 11 years ago, and I spent a few days here. And she always said, if you ever want to come back, it's always here. But I've been preoccupied with all kinds of other things until now. I finally had the chance to come back. So I've been writing about life at Salmon Creek Farm, strangely, to write about it from here, so far away. But also just generally kind of meditating on what I want the next chapter of my life and work to be. Which has been very helpful because it's not the kind of thing you can think about when you're in the middle of the life that you're in, especially with the amount of daily work that I have at Salmon Creek Farm. So here it's just been so important to be in a place that's relatively slow and quiet and connected to land, which is what I care about most in my work. And community. Ecology and community are kind of the essence of the work that I do, and I feel that so strongly in Praiano. It's something that Carol always stresses so much when she talks about this place, this deep, deep history that she's so connected to and so aware of and researching a lot right now. And also just this kind of resourcefulness, this history of resourcefulness and simplicity and making the most with the least, really. This culture of, obviously, this history of growing your own food in these ancient terraces, and a connection to the sea, of course. But also the thing she impressed upon me most when I made my first visit was how, challenging life was in this isolated place, and how you had to be resourceful and you had to be connected to a community. You had to depend on each other. You saved everything. You used everything. And it's funny because the Salmon Creek Farm where I am is a hippie commune established in 1971 that has identical values, the same ethos of young hippies that dropped out in the early 70s in the middle of a countercultural sort of revolution in the United States that was actually quite global, which was the biggest urban to rural mass migration in the history of humanity, I've heard. But the culture of Salmon Creek Farm was very much the same. It was a culture of resourcefulness, simplicity, getting back to fundamentals about how we're living and really questioning how modern society was becoming overly materialistic and very toxic for these ideas that they had about how we should be living, how we should be connected to other people. Obviously, they were very interested in the rise of a feminist movement, environmentalist movement, what they called at the time this sort of gay culture or gay radicalism, or anyway. So in the late 60s and early 70s, there was a particular social and environmental movement. But when I come to a place like Praiano, I can feel the evidence of a kind of similar sort of connection to a piece of land and to a community of people, which, they're very simple, universal, timeless truths of that I think we just lose touch with the way that we're kind of forced to live in big cities today, which is a lot of waste that you can't avoid and a lot of just general disconnection from where your resources are coming from, where your waste is going. That's simply not possible in a little village like this, or living in the woods like we do. So I first came to Italy 30 years ago, studying architecture in Venice, and then I lived for a year in Tuscany in a farmhouse in the mid-90s, and then I moved back to Italy for a year in Rome in 2010 for a year at the Academy. And then I should also say I spent a year on and off in Abruzzo on a farm doing a series of art projects there, going back every season for a few weeks. So anyway, it's just crazy to me that I haven't been back to Italy in 10 years, and this trip has been very profound in just reconnecting to the country and kind of recommitting myself to coming back here regularly, if not once a year, then even more than that. I don't know. At this point, I feel very deeply that I have some sort of future work to do here. I'm not sure what form that will take, but this has been, very, very special in that regard. And I think after 2 years of the pandemic, everybody's kind of coming up, asking themselves what kind of lives they want to have, what did I miss, what do I need? And for me, Salmon Creek Farm will this year be on its own. It's starting a nonprofit. It will have a director, a board of directors. I've hired caretakers that are running it. Half the year it's kind of 2-week retreat rentals. The other half, there will be some sort of free programming, a school that we're starting. So maybe it's possible some arm of that can be in Italy somehow, which is something I'm starting to think about. Anyway, finally, for the first time in many years, I have the opportunity to think what I want to do next, because the last few years I've just been completely at the mercy of this project at Salmon Creek Farm. Anyway, so I leave Praiano tomorrow morning with a lot of thoughts about the future, and hopefully spending more time here in Praiano and on the Amalfi Coast.